And let's talk for just a second then about what is it about that? Because we all nod when we hear the words, right? Of course, life groundless, uncertain, impermanent, right? We rattle this, look how beautifully it falls off the tongue, like no problem, no blah, 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 purgatory, limbo, yeah, right? Vulnerability, no big deal, except for our reality. And what's the reality? We cling to every moment like it was the last breath. We cling, really, like it was the last breath. Not that we don't know that it's not the last breath, right? Because that's a part of the uncertainty, the unpredictability. Except, here's the rub. As we do, we cannot be in that breath. A little dilemma. As we cling, grip, reject, push away, don't want it, complain, aggress, right? Fall on the ground crying, screaming. We get depressed, we get anxious, we decide there's no point to it all. It doesn't change a thing. Because what? The truth of the present moment is exactly this. And our willingness then. And beyond willingness, I talk a lot about willingness. Pema talks about training. She says, I wouldn't leave it to that either. It counts. Being open-hearted is essential, but also being courageous is. And not only is being courageous then essential, we have to train. You don't just throw yourself in the tsunami of the present moment. That's ridiculous. Without arms. That's just, right? Suicide. We have to train. And I don't know how many years it's been now, Carrie, how many, where I've had to convince people that the training is the meditation.
Since 2008.
Thank you. Okay, that's a fairly long time. Every day, I say to at least 5 people, no, the meditation is the process. It is the practice. It is the path. It is the way, a way. I'm not going to go to capital T's on the, right? And if you could do Sufi dancing and ultimately find happiness and freedom every day in the uncertainty, impermanence, groundlessness, ambiguity of the present moment, what would I say? Go dancing. Wouldn't I? Go dancing.
Yeah.
Except we have a lot of research now. Now we're actually looking at what matters, what softens and quiets the amygdala, what invites and activates oxytocin and dopamine and serotonins. And what do we know? Nothing better than turning one's attention towards oneself with intention, with care, with kindness, with compassion, with stillness, with silence, with spaciousness. Well, why is that? Well, because we can't get to kindness if we're not stable-minded. And by the way, we have a lot of research on that. You cannot, in the distress of where's the eggs? Can I find this? How come the dog smells? What's going on? You cannot, in that moment, without training, open to the what? The miracle, the preciousness, and the beauty that's actually right here. Called that smelly dog. The eggs I couldn't find. The cream that went bad. The wife that wouldn't kiss me. Right? The precious and beauty of that present moment with all of those things actually in it. So that the weather of the day all becomes just what? Amazing and curious and enlivens, right? And awakens us. This is the in-between. You cannot architecture then by wanting, can you? It fails you, doesn't it? I want a sunny day. Well, almost. You're almost setting it up. You're almost guaranteeing, right? because then I only want a sunny day, and I only want the flowers to bloom, and I only want the wife to kiss me, and I only want the dog to smell like cotton candy. And then we become, can you see what happens? Intolerant, don't we? Literally intolerant of life. Like just no, not that. And so we're going to train and practice today, feeling for ourselves in all the moments we construct our suffering. I will distinguish suffering here, for those of you who don't know me well, from pain. We do construct all of our suffering. It isn't intentioned. It's actually trying to run the other way. We just can't run fast enough, and we get trampled, right? We cannot outrun the pain of life. It's here. It's immutable. We can't get out of the truth of what aging, illness, death, and loss. That's the pain of life. And by the way, I think deserving of some solid screams. Isn't it? Sure, absolutely. And I will be there and scream with you in the truth of that. What is suffering, however, and this is the in-between state, is that there will be nothing to grab. Right? We don't like this. There's nothing to grab onto. There's nothing to get rid of. We will not be able, if we're going to truly pursue this path of awakening, this bodhisattva path where we choose presence over comfort. That's the path where we choose showing up, going, I don't even know what I'm going to do. I don't even know what I'm going to say. I don't even know how to make this better. Right? But I'm going. That actually is the courageous heart of the bodhisattva, committed, right, then completely to presence, because that's actually all that's needed. You don't need to know what to say. You don't need to have a script. You can cry too. Maybe the best thing, honestly. And not try all the platitudes, right? Not try all the old games we all play. And of course, Carrie, in the work she does, knows a lot about this, because there are no words now, are there? There is no just say this and it's all better. Just say that and they're not angry. Just say this thing and they understand, right? No. They scream, they cry, they kick the door, they get angry at each other. This is the truth. And yet, just that presence organizes and orders our moments, just showing up for it. And so we're going to practice that today, resting a little bit in between. We're going to see if we can find that in between space in our practice today. So let's get prepared to sit. I'm going to try to grab my bell, have a last sip of whatever there. You're going to put that down for a while. In between. And so let's just stay with the word in between. We came up with some others and I love them. Thank you. It was very rich, tender, vulnerable, groundless. Some people would say ambiguous, but I have to say, once you arrive, it is what it is. I think it's ambiguous as we avoid, as we shut down, as we turn the other way, because then we cannot use this beautiful mind, body, heart apparatus to respond. And so today I'm going to use the closed eye practice, because we're also going to be turning in a little bit towards some emotional, feeling toned states. But if you want to rest in non-meditation, meditation, feel free. Find the practice that's right for you. And we begin each practice period in exactly the same way. We recollect and invite our aspiration for this path. And that is at the minimum, as we've talked about now in the principles, the intentions at the minimum invite causing least harm. Well, for me, that simply means shutting up. Literally. If I can't do anything else, if I can't change the view, if I can't have a different feeling, if I can't see clearly, what I can do is not extend my suffering to include others. By complaining, by aggressing, it's better to be still and quiet, and that is good news. So least harm. Your stillness right now is a part of that quietude. And so we take a big in-breath, breathing in, settling down into the still body. We're going to do it one more time, breathing in deeply. A little more. Big out. Settling in, finding a place of refuge, of quiet, an easeful spot somewhere in the breastscape. Mine just landed just beneath the ribs, so I'm going to hang out there. And we're resting the mind there, allowing the movement of the breath to come and go. One of the mistakes of this practice is the idea that you're following the breath with the eyes. And it's not true, actually. You're resting the eyes in the Anapana, letting the movements appear and disappear. The eyes should be trained inward towards the nose, lowered and restful. And with each out breath, for several breaths, we're simply settling the body. Least harm. And in fact, what we begin to see within 10 to 20 breaths is not only is this not causing harm, it's actually contributing something to my sense of wholeness, presence. A felt sense of right here, right nowness. And we begin to sense that it is only in this very moment where calm or ease or presence or contribution can happen, right here. And then we commit ourselves completely, however it is, whatever's going on with the Achilles or the eyeball or the knee or the hands, or I'm a little warm or I'm a little cold. None of this now is the consequence. The point is the commitment. the point is the intention. And that alive felt sense, nowhere else to be than right here and right now. And one of the first things I always make contact with, because I love the idea of present moment awareness, is the reality of the shaky tenderness that is a part of this present moment. We might call it the not knowing nothing moment. And so with each breath, we turn towards the groundless. We train in don't know mind. And we open wider. A short breath or a long one. Jagged or smooth. And body just like this. And rather than immediately vault into our habits of distracting with more pleasant thoughts or planning our day, maybe evaluating our sensations. This is a lovely one. Well, that was a good one. And that's so good. I like this one. I didn't like that one. Instead of all that distraction, we commit ourselves again and again. And it is a breath by breath practice. And then you can see why. We have to gather up all the attention, all the intention, all the heart that is committed courageously, boldly, nobly, and we arrive right here. And then I notice I'm a little bit queasy. When I close my eyes, I'm not quite so oriented. I feel almost a little dizzy. And I think, who needs this? My tongue's too big. My throat is dry. And I'd rather drink my coffee. And yet, I commit myself. And this is the beginning of the cultivation of the boundless and wholly awakened and enlightened heart mind. There is no other moment. This is the one, the in-between, the groundless moment between past and future, between the in-breath and the out-breath. Between right and wrong, good and bad, wanting and not wanting. Nothing to grab, nowhere to hide. We're just right here. Gate, gate, para, parasam, gate, bodhi, swaha. Alive, awake, right here. With each breath, we put the thinking down again and again. To open ourselves to just what is here. Tight, hot, hard, soft, soothed, peaceful. And all the space in between. And as we invite the attention just to this one breath, we begin to see certain aspects of mind and mind habits. And it's a very important part of the practice. First, stabilizing the mind, opening the heart, feeling for oneself, noticing the ditching over here, the running over there, the wanting this, the not wanting that. And we can feel for ourselves in that humanness. There's nothing to get rid of. There are no bad parts. But can I, without reactivity, without judgment, without running or aggressing, can I simply abide? Can I breathe with tight belly, heavy chest, dry throat? Doesn't matter. Can I just be with this first? At least for a few breaths. And as I touch into the pleasant sensations, the ease, the calm, can I also make contact with that little tiny gripping mind? The one that says, if I could only keep this. And again, without judgment, just noticing the habit nature, wanting this, wanting to keep this. And often we don't know it till it changes, right? And then we notice we often notice the wanting mind by the not wanting mind. And we can make contact with that somatic energy, with the habits of mind and body, with that particular view, the not wanting, which is get me out of here. Let's distract and go over somewhere else. What if this gets worse? Just knowing the nature of that and staying, because that changes too. This is a part of the training. We don't buy into the storyline. Get me out of here, shut it down, go the other way. And it's all talking, whether you hear it or not. You catch it in the impulse. The one that would rather listen to the clock than make contact with that queasiness. And we smile. And with gentleness, with kindness, with an essential and unconditional friendliness. With our whole hearts, we invite ourselves back. Back to what? The truth of the present moment. The truth of this mind, this body, this heart. And we see again and again that this is the only place to rest. Like it or not. And there is no thinking that will contribute to the end of suffering. Not a positive thought, not a pleasant one. Thinking is thinking. And just recognizing. And then under the words, we come back into the breathscape, back to the Anapana, and we rest the mind, soften the body, open the heart, wholly open the heart, and begin again. And then when we find a sticky point, a thought we can't get rid of, a sensation that keeps calling us back, a feeling of dread or guilt or disappointment or fear, whatever's happening, can we simply let it be? Open, allow, and know it completely. And then we can invoke and invite those phrases with the tight belly, heavy chest, and dry throat, just like this. Acknowledging the truth of the pleasant and unpleasant in this world. Can I feel for myself? Can I invite my tree or loving kindness, compassion, or equanimity for this tender queasiness that we all feel in being alive? And then we even open bigger. Beyond myself, beyond my knee, my belly, my heavy chest, my dry throat. I open to feel for all those just like me who know this distress, this suffering, this confusion, this not wanting to. and it re-intentions and recommits us, because now we're breathing, we're attending, we're turning towards, we're staying, not only for ourselves, but for all those just like me who feel this too. And it fortifies us, it empowers us, it gives us energy, it recommits us, and so we do it again and again. And then we realize we're practicing just this one breath, just this one queasy belly moment for the whole of the world. In our intra and interconnectedness, I know more about you and more about me and more about our shared reality as human beings. And then for a moment, let's beyond ourselves, beyond our own experience, can we include someone this week who has said something, behaved in a way, not behaved in some way that caused our distress, activated our reactivity? We didn't want it. We wanted more of it. We thought it should go a different way. And recollecting this moment, see if we can't just rest in the truth of this wanting and not wanting. I wish they'd have said this. I wish they wouldn't have. I wish they'd have done this. I wish they wouldn't have. And can we feel for ourselves and them? Caught one more moment in a wanting, not wanting. Let's get some ground beneath our feet. Let's find a handle. Let's seek some certainty moment. We have to remind and remember again and again that there is no other. There are only aspects, shards, facets of humanness arising and passing. And that how we respond matters. And first, can we show up and then stay and open bigger. Groundless and boundless, every breath. trying to secure solid ground. And we can't find it anywhere. And so with courage, commitment, tenacity, and care, we abide the present moment as completely as we can, as open-heartedly as we can, forever and ever, in just this one breath. And then we see the naturally arising compassion. The only thing to do then is feel for us all. And so we offer the four heavenly abodes, a place of refuge, of safety, of protection, and connection. May we all be happy. May we all be free from pain and suffering. May we rejoice at the good fortune of this precious human life. And wish this good fortune for others. And may we rest and dwell in this vast and boundless present moment without clinging, without rejecting, without ignoring. Until all beings throughout all time are free. And then we commit ourselves for just one more breath. And remember that it is a benefit now and always. piece of cake. Piece of cake, just this one breath. So then I'm going to check in with our community and see, what do we do then? What do we do to make it so hard?
I was aware this morning in the meditation of the points where I started to let go. And I could feel myself letting go. And then I'm aware of this, I'm going to call it grappling hooks or something. This part of me that's still holding on, still not really letting go. I'm in the breath, and it feels for a moment like I'm letting go, like I've let go, but then I realize that I'm not. I just haven't. There's still this part of me that's holding on because I'm afraid to let go. It's scary.
It's scary. And then can you feel for yourself and all of us exactly like that in that fear?
Yeah.
And then in the infinite ways we express it, right?
Yeah.
I don't do it like you don't do it like me, and we're all afraid.
I had an experience this week where I was with somebody and I, was in a situation where I was not wanting. And I was still, but a part of me wanted to open up to it, to just be there with it and allowing it to be. And the not wanting just kept trying to sort of shut it down. And really, really, really hard to open my heart. I knew I wasn't. I knew that. Well, that's good.
That's right.
And I shut up. Like
Also
said,
very, very good. Very, very good.
up. Okay.
Counts a
Don't
lot.
say anything. This is a bad thing to do. And eventually within that day, I was able to find that spot, where I started to open. And but even after that, it still was closing down. So it was sort of open and then close and then open and then close.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And often I have to say, Greg, this is a beautiful point. Thank you. We try to open to the other first. And
Yeah.
that's a mistake.
Yeah.
That's a mistake, because that's the demand of, no, I should just be nice. I'm a practitioner. I should be able to be non-reactive or non-judgmental or loving or whatever we think we're supposed to be. But we weren't that with ourselves, because we just demanded that we be different. Right there. We
Right.
just demanded that we be some other way.
And I was trying to, and so I was coming back to the breath. So just
Yeah.
realizing, okay, I've got the breath. I can come back to the breath and find it, open for myself, because I was in pain at that point.
Yes.
I knew I was in pain.
Yes.
And well, that's good.
Just
At
staying
least
on
I
the
know
right
I'm in
side,
pain.
isn't it? This is what would get you wherever else might happen, is
Right.
Can I be with myself in my shutdown? Can I be with myself in my aggression? Can I be with myself in my hatred, in my wanting something else, in my thinking, blaming the other, the believing if only they were something? And the truth is, the failure isn't those thoughts. The failure is we forget our own humanness, our own vulnerability, our own tenderness, and we forget to attend first to ourselves. Over and over. Over and over. Don't we?
Yep.
We do it. And then we do it again by going, well, I should just be like this. Or why can't I just let it go? Or how come I just can't be with the breath? Or how come, right? There we are, really in aggression. just directed at all the judging, condemning, wanting something else, wanting to be some other way. If we were just doing it to the other, how amazing would that be? But see, we know better, don't we? We know I must be doing this to me if I've got the ability to do that to you. It's an absolute truth. There's the Dharma. If I can aggress against you, I'm already aggressing against me. Already happening. I'm caught by this every single day because I go, wow, I sort of think I'm right and I sort of think you're wrong. So it looks like I'm being pretty nice to me. Not really at all. Not really. I'm not really home. I'm not really believing I'm worthy of just attending to myself. I'm all the way out there thinking if just you'd be different, this would go well. Right? But I left home for it. Right? I did. I completely abandoned my body mind. I completely abandoned my fear, my vulnerability, my tenderheartedness to call you a jerk. I had to get right out of me and right over there in your yard. And I can see that. I can see that and then feel for myself and do exactly what you did, Greg, which is just come home. Let's get me back here. And maybe it's a breath, maybe it's a half. I don't know. And then we have to do it again. And it's okay. That's the training. And so it's beautiful, isn't it?
Yep. And what was really beautiful in the breathing is the gap where it was like I was sustaining without any breath for longer and longer and longer periods of time.
Yes.
Before I could take a breath. And it was just a really kind of a pure place, the gap, where
Yes.
I wasn't really breathing. I was just being perfectly still.
That's right. Exactly right, Dennis. And we do have research on this, by the way, Dennis. That's an experience. We notice the breaths become less and less frequent. We rest longer and longer in that groundlessness, in that boundlessness, in that gap. That gap is actually the quality, true quality of our own heart mind. The true quality of our enlightened, awakened heart mind. No limits, no boundaries, no color, no birthing, no deathing is what it's not even a coming and going thing. It's always abiding. Libby wanted to say something, so I'm going to let her speak up and try to turn this towards her, see if she can. Let's see if I get you over there. Yeah, go ahead.
So I just found that becoming familiar would be the words that I would use in that discomfort. So that's why I use the word discomfort for the in between. It wasn't really in the in between stage. It's the feeling that I always have when I bring up the truth that there will be loss. I will lose everything. But the more that I can just become familiar with that sensation, the less it was unpleasant. It was still the sensation, but I did realize that the more I became familiar and the more I stayed, it wasn't so unpleasant or painful. Still the same sensations, but that's what I've come to realize is the more I let that arise or even bring it up and stay with it, the more I'll become familiar and the less scary it will become.
That's exactly right. I don't know if we remember this 5 strengths practice, but one of the 5 strengths is familiarization, that we get to know. Greg was saying it too, wasn't he? I was just recognizing that that's what was happening. And here I was. It was like this, sensations like this, tight belly like this, thoughts that I don't like this. Why can't they be better? Why can't they be different? But that we keep doing that familiarization, just knowing how it goes, leads us to understanding, doesn't it? And then also, what did Libby just say? An ability really growing ability to abide. Since I didn't run the other way this time, at least for a breath or two, well, the next time I'm actually there for almost a whole breath, and then it grows itself. And that's another strength that we see, that from that lifting, from that muscle training, just being with, and I don't think we let go first. I don't think it's possible. I think you have to really get to know the queasy belly, the tight chest, before any possibility. And then, of course, what happens? We don't let go of anything. We're just abiding. It lets go. We're no longer hooked. I loved that word that Greg was using. We're not hooked into the habit. It doesn't mean the sensation's better. It doesn't mean we liked it more. It doesn't mean the partner got smarter, kinder, or more loving at all. And we essentially are changed and awakened, but not because we sought it, because we practiced these essential skills: staying, abiding, and opening. Right there they are, staying, abiding, and opening. And we practice in the gap, Dennis, that's right, so that we can, in stability, now go out into the worldly winds. And we're going to get thrown all over the boat, aren't we? This is life. We're going to get thrown all over the boat. And yet some still stable gap quality of heart mind. And it matters. Just like this. Thank you all for that. I loved that feedback, because we have to remind each other this is the way. And in fact, the research, I've just been given lots of new research that I've been looking over. It's very clear this is the requirement for our becoming world. That the world is faster, it's spinning faster, there are more people, there are more positives, negatives, liking and not liking, and we are going to need to find the capacity to stabilize in the midst of it all. I think, or perish, I will say, or perish in it. And from it. So here we all are working on that together. Did somebody want to, I heard a voice. I want to make sure I check in with you before we go to the last chapter. Was there somebody else out there wanting to say something? Okay, then let's go to our chapter 22. Let me see if I can pull this up for us. I think I've got it right here. And I'm going to move it over so we can all get the whole. Everybody can see that, hopefully. The in-between state. Last chapter of When Things Fall Apart. And we will continue to, of course, work with these practices, these tenets. We're going to be doing Tonglen on Saturday. Practice because with this training, we truly become what Pem is calling warriors, but not aggressors, right? Warriors by commitment, warriors by doing it again, right? That kind of warrior, not aggressive. So just so we make sure we don't get confused. And here's Suzuki Roshi, a San Francisco Zen beautiful teacher, who says this: the secret of Zen is just two words, not always so. Not always so. Now, interestingly, I heard this differently. I have heard this quote throughout really my practice life. And I heard that the three words, he supposedly uttered these to a student who said, if you could just put Zen in two words, what would they be? And Suzuki said, everything changes. And I suppose these two ideas would be the same. There is constant, impermanence, constant arising and passing, and be watchful of the mind that is in this grasping, clinging.
So it wasn't supposed to be some sort of trick. You said two words.
Yes.
Three.
2 words, not always so. So that I don't, 2 words, not always so. I think he's saying there's nothing to grab. It's not that simple. You can't get it. And the words I heard were everything changes. So here's, I found so many treasures. Let's just see if we can't unpack some of them. It takes some training to equate complete letting go with comfort. I'm going to change that word, right? I just said so. I don't think letting go happens first. What is it? Arriving to, showing up for, being with. I think this is harder. I think we love the letting go idea, but I don't think it's where any of us begin. Letting go of comfort is true, right? Because we've got to go, well, to turn here towards the queasy belly, the dry throat means I'm not going to just be able to distract off into my beautiful day and my precious life. And it's all true, but it's a distraction. So complete letting go with comfort. What she's saying there is that the groundless state is terrifying because you've let be the idea that you're going to be able to pre-plan, organize, pack correctly, get the plane, do it all right, that you've already have acknowledged this is not this life. I'm already recognizing. But in fact, nothing to hold on to is the root of happiness. Don't you love that? How simple. Just let go of everything and you'll be happy. It is the root of all happiness because then why? No objects to cling to, no objects to reject. I do not claim them as me. Nothing. Not this anger, not these thoughts, not this Achilles, right? Not this achy knee. I don't take claim. I'm just in the experiencing, abiding of this. When we accept that we're not in control, this is the beginning of that freedom. We stop trying to orchestrate or architecture what Joko used to call a fabricated life, a substitute life, the one that our minds alone create. Pointing ourselves towards what we would most like to avoid makes our barriers and shields permeable. This is Pema's turn towards the blade. Instead of running from the tiger, you turn to face it, to see what it actually is. And then recognizing is the end of the story, by the way, that there was no tiger at all, that it was you all along. You in your avoiding, not wanting, preferring, biased mind, that this is the real tiger in our lives. This may lead to a don't know what to do. This is me just shutting up because I've got nothing brilliant to say at all. Kind of feeling a sense of being caught in between, like we are in that gap that Dennis was talking about. I haven't even constructed a thought about it yet. I don't know what to do. I have just arrived here. Can I do so with that gap quality, the still and silent quality of heart mind? Can I simply arrive and give myself a couple breaths? And the answer mostly is no. We train Navy SEALs for no less than 5 years. 5 years. They train in what? Just arriving to their situation. No bias. No figured it out. No plan. No plan. We do it with our athletes as well, by the way. Don't we? Because I can't set up Michael Jordan for that shot ahead of time. Can I? No, you can't. You have to, of course, I just revealed my age there, didn't I? Yeah, that's when I last watched basketball. That should tell you something. I'm joking. But on the other hand, we wish it were true that our outer comfort could bring us lasting happiness. Let's watch just this week how many times you get caught there. If only, if I could make this happen, if I could eat now, if only they could get their act together, then I could be okay. But this is not where the practice is it? The practice is, how do I arrive to this moment, fully open, fully abiding, and by that very process, be okay with whatever is then here. This is the path for us. This is the in-between state where the warrior spends a lot of time growing up. I loved that line. Instead of just wanting, wishing, hoping, praying for something else, we simply get the courage. And I think it is courageous to show up with first what's here. Not to, first with. I've got to know something about me in this arrival before I go out to, then I can be anything for anybody else. Can I show up with myself wholly? We are told about the pain of chasing after pleasure and the futility of running from pain, and yet, what? Continuous. And that is not a failure. That's not the problem, is it? We don't want to condemn the human mind for just, I'd rather have food than not have food. I'd rather have shelter than not have shelter. These are just human brainstem-based realities. I don't have to condemn them, but I do want to recognize how they play and that they color and direct much of what I do throughout the day. Much of what I do. Pema once told us a sort of joke while sitting in Brentwood years ago when we were sitting with her for 3 days of training, and she went, she was joking and no one knew it, but she comes down to the stage and she goes, "Isn't it warm? Shouldn't these red curtains be a little brighter? Who got me this chair? Where's my water? I can't talk without a microphone. I don't know who set this up." And we're all going like, "Oh my God, oh my God." She just starts laughing. And she said, have we not all had about 100,000 of these thoughts in the last 4 minutes? Too hot, too cold. The guy in front of me, the guy behind me. Somebody smells. I can't believe she wore that dress. Right? And by the way, she was 2 hours late. And so she knew the mind that she was walking out to, didn't she? She knew it. And rather than condemn it, rather than become critical of herself or of others, she said, yes, there it is. We all want something else. Almost, by the way, every moment. Isn't it true? Almost every moment. And that we recognize the consequence of that we've missed our entire lifetimes, wishing, wanting, or hoping for something else. Wow, that's a big commitment to nothing, isn't it? Because that's not going to happen. We aren't told all that much about this state of being in between, no longer able to get our old comfort, which we never had, by the way, from the outside, but not dwelling yet in a continual sense of equanimity and warmth, because that's grown by the practice. You can't just graft that on. Anxiety, heartbreak, and tenderness mark the in-between states, that queasy tenderness that Chogyam named so beautifully, the truth of being alive. If you can't feel it, you're lying. Let me go there. If you can't feel that every breath, and it just feels like bliss and light, the truth is you're not telling the whole truth. The whole truth is, with that, I am abiding. Right in the face of it, not because I got rid of it. And we all love the other idea, don't we? We all love the other idea. I got around it. I transcended it. It's no longer here. Nope. Not in this human life. But by the way, no problem either. The challenge is to stay in the middle rather than buy into struggle, that really aggression or complaint. We could say fight or flight there too. The challenge is to let it soften us. Here we go. rather than make us more rigid, more fearful, more complaining. Right? How do we soften up to our already queasy belly? Becoming intimate with the queasy feeling of being in the middle of nowhere, we just call that the present moment, only makes our hearts more tender, more open, and more loving. When we are brave enough, I don't even know if that's quite the right word. I don't know if I got brave enough first. I think I got, I don't know if brave is the right word. I don't think I got brave enough. I think I realized there was nowhere else to go. I sort of realized I was up in the corner of my own life. Like, you better do something else because this is not working. This is not working. So I don't even know, maybe a resignation, maybe surrender, maybe like gonna drown. This is it. Desperation. I don't think brave is what comes first. So don't be looking for that. Brave enough to stay in the middle. Compassion will come spontaneously. You will be able to feel for yourself in the nowhere else to go. Right? Nowhere else to go. If we can make the situation right or wrong, good or bad, if we can pin it up, pin it down, get it figured out, I love this one, then we are on familiar ground. This is how you can know you're getting it wrong. I will tell you, once you go, I think I've got this figured out. Just immediately go to sentence 2, which means I'm just telling myself a story because I'm already in the next moment. So whatever ground I thought I had, well, that was just right there. Where am I now? Groundless, boundless, uncertain. And we have to be willing to stay there as well. This is exactly how we're training every time we sit in meditation. That's why we do it. We see what comes up, acknowledge it with kindness, and that's talking about ourselves. And let go. Let's just try for let be. Let's not try to get rid of anything. I think it's a waste of time. Let be. It's like this right now. And then it's like this. And then it's like this. Habitually, we're so uncomfortable with that churned up, queasy, tender feeling that we would do anything to make it go away, except it can't and won't. So no bother, right? We don't have to waste a ridiculous, precious waste of time. We can kindly encourage ourselves to stay with our agitated energy by returning to the breath and creating simply what? Space and room for it. That's it. We're not getting rid of, if I could breathe it out, if I could only breathe another way, if I could do that magic breath work and go into bliss and ecstatic states, then I could be okay. Nope, nope, and nope. I promise, it doesn't work that way. We can train in Maitri, that loving kindness, that we need to just keep going forward, to just keep opening our hearts. This is an essential component. It is not enough to arrive. It is not enough to arrive. We must arrive with a kind, compassionate, open heart. Well, by the way, the arriving itself will give you no option because there is nothing else. Arrive with what? The plan. Arrive with what? The list. Arrive with what? The orchestrated construct of how I think life ought to be. You're going to get yourself in some solid trouble. That's not going to work. It never has. It never will. It will work to say, can I begin with myself like this, wanting it to be a certain way and feeling for myself in the truth of that suffering? And the answer is yes, we can. Dwelling in the in-between state requires learning to contain the paradox of something being both right and wrong. Well, the Buddha said this. He said, is it right or wrong? No. Is it neither right or wrong? No. Is it both right or wrong? No. Is it neither and both right or wrong? No. Is it neither and both? And neither, right and wrong? No. What's that mean? No answer to the present moment before you arrive. None. Ugh. Right? No, no, and no. No answer to the present moment before you fully arrive to it. And in that painful moment, when we don't live up to our own standards for getting it right, having the plan, actualizing the goals, meeting the objectives. I just watched another 20 seconds of Tony Robbins before I felt sick to my stomach. If we could all just get it together, then we could all be okay. Really? I can't wait to see. We can appreciate the paradox of being human, finally, without having to put more demand on if only you could meet those objectives and make that 300K or whatever thing you think you're going to do that's going to, and by the way, not because it's a problem, but because it's not a solution. Can we forgive ourselves and stay in touch with our good and tender heart without the demand? I'm supposed to be like this. I'm supposed to make this amount of money. I'm supposed to have a partner. I'm supposed to be blah, blah, at this age. I'm supposed, really? I don't, according to what? Some constructed idea, says Joko, about what you thought your life was supposed to be. And you were crazy the whole time. I'm supposed to be turns very quickly into you're supposed to be. Also, let's keep it in mind. Our practice is to stay with the uneasiness and no solid ground without having any view of how it's supposed to be. We have to be watchful of the tendency to solidify. If I could get it right, if I could only have this, then I could bear my life. For the warrior, right is an extreme view, as extreme a view as wrong. Yes, we stay out of the sides, taking sides. We abide in the middle. No shore, no shore, just in the middle, the present moment. If we grab for a side, a view, a perspective, an opinion, a way even, we are going to feel better for a moment and then fairly quickly recognize its limitation, because it's not going to, it's a boat that doesn't hold you. It is going to sink, but we grab at it. If only you'd be this and I'd be that. When we stand at the crossroads, not knowing which way to go, we abide. This is the beginning of prajnaparamita. The wisdom factor begins with nothing. We hate that. It begins with nothing. It wasn't the plan. It was that you arrived completely open. That's the beginning of wisdom. Actually right there. And we can't bear it, can we? I got to know what I'm going to say. I'm going to write the script. I'm going to try to figure out what they're going to say. And then I'm going to have plan A, B, and C for that. And then we're nowhere. We're simply lost in our heads. And prajnaparamita has no possibility, because you're not even in the present moment to see what's really available and present and needed there. And we all do it. Holding the paradox is not something any of us will suddenly be able to do. It's fairly intolerable. And that's why we train with uncertainty, ambiguity, and insecurity. And we come to just abide. There is absolutely no way to do this just right. And the rightness is the doing again and again and again, this one moment. They give us the resource to be genuine about where we are. At the same time, to know that we are always in transition between this and this. We evolve beyond the little me who continually seeks comfort, security, safety, and permanence to discover that we are big enough, I love that, to hold something that is neither a lie or the truth, neither pure nor impure, neither good or bad. But first, we have to appreciate the richness of the groundless state and stay. We think the warrior journey is one way or the other. Either we're all caught up or we're free. And what? The juicy spot, she says, is a fruitful place to be, resting here completely, steadfastly experiencing the clarity of the present moment. This is enlightenment. Just this one breath. Don't look for it in the next. Don't look for it there. You will construct a lie, and it doesn't hold up. It doesn't hold us. So I'm going to stop here, just check in. We've only got a few moments. I want to make sure that we continue in these practices now. We've been reading about them. We've been practicing them. We'll be doing, again, a Tonglen on Saturday. Greg, I think you're going to be here this Thursday too.
That's correct. I
At
will be.
7 a.m.
And also, I just wanted to mention that we've got St. Andrews coming up again on the 14th, which is a
Valentine's Day.
Yep.
Beautiful heart day for
Perfect.
sharing.
Right.
If
So,
people, if you can't get us food items and you want to send us money, feel free to do that. You can go to the EMC website. You can send it to me. I'm one of the people that goes shopping. We've been going to the Dollar Tree and going into the back and just grabbing pallets of stuff. They've been working with us really well. So that's really worked out.
yeah, Costco is good. Definitely you can get cases of things there, and they have a lot of stuff that they want. Canned goods, anything that's packaged, cereals are really good, beans. I like to get a lot of the tuna because I know the tuna's got a lot of protein value, and that is really important. There's also canned chicken, which is pretty good.
That's right. We try to pick that up at the Dollar Tree. So we try to do the same, which is grab protein if we can. We have been able to get Spam even a couple of times. We've even gotten that, as well as Manwich sandwich. That's when we run out of tuna and chicken. We head for the next available protein. But chicken and tuna go a long, long way. They go a long, long way because 2 cans of that stuff can feed a family with some beans or noodles or rice or whatever.
Definitely the beans along with that, but
Yeah.
I try to throw in a lot of different things, but sort of focus on that as kind of the mainstay, and then
That's
add
right.
things into it.
Yeah.
I can tell you that we've been doing this every other month. Of course, St. Andrews is doing this every day for 200 families. So, and they really do appreciate it when we show up with our stuff because they can use it.
They really do. They really, really do. Veg-all, I guess, is we buy that at Dollar Tree. Also, these cans of veg-all, which is sort of like green beans and corn and carrots and all in one little can. And I've heard from some people who get the products there that that's great because they throw it right in with the tuna or the chicken and the noodles. And that can make a pretty workable fast meal. So that we commit ourselves to helping all beings have sufficient supply, right, of shelter, of food is critically important. And I am so proud of us for committing ourselves. I forgot that we have been doing this now for several years. I just looked at the website as I was changing it and I was like, oh my gosh, we have a couple years going now with St. Andrews, and thank you all so much. It's very, very important that we continue. So thank you all. I'll look forward to seeing you in the garden on Saturday. We have an all day coming up on March 4th at Quest Haven. We will be back at Quest Haven on March 4th. And I think we'll be starting another mindfulness class at the end of March. So look at the websites. They've just been updated so you can see all the good stuff happening there. And I will look forward to seeing you all soon. Yes, thank you all as well for your practice. May we all be filled with loving kindness, with compassion, with equanimity and joy. And may we be well. And may we be peaceful and at ease. And may we then be happy. Truly happy. And blessings to all of you. Good to see you all. Greg, good to see ya. Chris, we're everything always for well-being for you. Jan, good to see you. Everyone take good care. I'll see you soon.
Take care, everyone. Take care. Namaste.